Welcome back, everybody, to 31 2000s horror movies for Halloween, where I'm counting down my favorite horror movies from the year 2000 to the year 2009. So, at number 14, we're going to South Korea. There's plenty of Asian horror movies on this list. What can I say? The 2000s was a great decade for Asian horror. We're looking at a movie directed by Park Chang-wook, another vampire movie. So at number 14, we have the South Korean vampire movie, Thirst. Now, I said this before in this ranking, I'll say it again because I love saying this. Park Chang-wook directed my favorite movie of all time, Oldboy. Absolutely love Oldboy. And he directed a great vampire movie that came out in 2009, Thirst. Very good. And like I said earlier, for a long time I was vampired out for a while. I had vampire fatigue and I'm getting back into it. But Thirst was my favorite vampire movie from the early 2000s. Now, the reason Thirst became my favorite horror movie from this particular decade is because, like I said, when watching a vampire movie, I crave for something different. I crave for something that's not just like every single vampire movie that came out. And Thirst does a lot of stuff different. It does a lot of vampire stuff in a unique way. It is a very different kind of vampire movie. We are following this priest who is going to this village that has this outbreak of this incurable disease, and he's volunteering to help out in this humanitarian effort. And while he's there, he ends up contracting the disease, and in a last-ditch effort to save him, they give him a blood transfusion, and then he ends up dying. But he ends up instantly coming back to life because it turns out that the blood they used for the transfusion was vampire blood. So he turns into a vampire, and right away this is a unique way of dealing with vampirism because he needs to drink blood as a vampire, and when he doesn't drink blood, the disease starts coming back and taking over his body again. So the only way he can get rid of the disease is by drinking blood. So that's a unique way of, a unique spin on the vampire genre. Anyway, because he was dead and he came back to life and seemed to be instantly cured of this incurable disease, he is viewed as a saint. You know, he's a priest and he's viewed as a saint. But he slowly starts learning that he's a vampire, slowly starts succumbing to this life of being a vampire. He meets this young woman who's in a bad relationship with an asshole husband and an asshole mother-in-law. And, it deals with their relationship growing. It deals with him losing his faith and succumbing to his vampirism, succumbing to his vampire lust. And the movie goes on from there. I don't want to give too much more away because, like I said, this is a very, very good vampire movie. And people need to check this one out because it's amazing. So like I said, I like when vampire movies do something different, and one of my favorite things about this movie is our main character becomes a vampire, and a common thing you see in a lot of vampire movies is when someone turns into a vampire, they're instantly used to being a vampire. They get used to the fact that they're a vampire very quickly, and they're able to, figure out what they're supposed to do and and how they're supposed to live their lives as a vampire. That doesn't happen here. The priest is, confused at first. He doesn't know what he's going on to. It takes some time to get used to the fact that he is now a vampire. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he achieves his hyper-vampire senses. common theme of vampire movies is that vampires have, like, super hearing, they have super vision, they have super smell, they have all these things. They have heightened senses. And there's the scene where the main character gets his vampire senses, and it's painful to him because he's experiencing all these senses all at once. His senses are heightened, but he's not instantly used to that, and it's, like, painful to him, and he's, like, suffering through it as he's smelling things from far away, hearing things from far away, seeing things from far away. It's a fantastic moment because it's not him just instantly being used to being a vampire, it's him trying to, like, being hit with all these senses at once and dealing with the chaos, the mental chaos and the physical chaos of suddenly being so aware of everything. And there's this amazing moment where he jumps out of a window because, I believe he's trying to kill... You're not sure if it's because he's trying to kill himself or because he is wondering if now that he's a vampire he can fly. I do believe it leaned more towards he was trying to kill himself, but he lands on a car and he doesn't die. And so he's, like, getting back to life. And it's kind of comical because his head gets stuck in the roof of the car. This movie has a lot of funny moments. It's a good horror movie, and it is a good dark comedy at times. But you also have the aspect of him being seen as a saint because he did come back from the dead. And since he's now a vampire and he's giving into his vampire urges, he's kind of leaving the faith. So he's losing his faith at the same time as being seen as a saint, so that's an interesting dynamic there. It does have a lot of the typical vampire stuff, but also a lot of not typical vampire stuff, so it does a good job at mixing in the lore that we're familiar with and doing things differently. If you're a vampire fan and you want to get your vampire fix for Halloween, but you're looking for something a little different from the other stuff, Thirst is a really good one to check out. Great South Korean horror movie. South Korean horror movies are fantastic. There's so many great Asian horror movies that came out this decade. But yeah, Thirst, for getting your vampire fix, but a different vampire fix, check this movie out. I guarantee you'll enjoy it, especially if you're a vampire fan.
Ha 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 ha!